All right, ladies. So today we're going to be talking about people in general, not just ladies. All right, don't get jealous. We're going to be we're going to be talking about the 7 psychological flaws that humans have. These are 7 psychological flaws that were there to help you succeed in life back in the days of barbaricism per se, right? But these are outdated maps, outdated programs that really don't really fit in with today's society. But because they're outdated, doesn't mean that the brain is not hardwired for that. It's kind of like having a computer that's made for one thing, and then suddenly you're demanding another thing from that computer. It's making it, you can find a lot of clashes. And so these flaws are not flaws because they are flaws and somehow it fucked up, or else we would have been eliminated. But they are flaws to the point that it does affect us to some degree, you see. And we're going to be going over, and again, look, I am not going to be talking about psychopathics, none of that sort of stuff, because that is a psychological flaw. You could call it that. But it's not less prevalent. There's not a lot of psychos out there. Then again, this is a women's channel. So, feminists, don't hurt me. All right, so let's get started. So the first one is backward rationalization. Backward rationalization. Backward rationalizing is pretty much, for example, it's kind of like when a woman likes a guy, right? You ever seen a woman who likes assholes, right? They're just attracted to the asshole. And then when they get with the guy, they like him, but they know he's an asshole. So how do women get around that? It's easy. Let's say that he is a big asshole to everyone else, and then suddenly he helps a child when he falls. And you see that, and you say it becomes kind of like a confirmation bias. Like you were looking for an answer, you were looking for an excuse to go out with him, and then suddenly you say, you know what? You see, he picked up that boy when he fell. He is a good person. So as a result, the emotion that you were feeling, which is attraction to him, wasn't lining up with your thoughts and the evidence. So as a result, your brain will exaggerate one act just to fit in with the model that you have of him. So that's what's gonna happen, and then suddenly you're gonna, in order to break up with him, is gonna be difficult because your brain is gonna be giving you rational reasons to stay with him. You see, your brain's gonna say, "Hey, remember that one time when that kid fell? He helped him up, right?" And so that's what tends to happen. Your brain has the ability to rationalize a lot of things, and that's how belief systems stay in the person's head with contradictions. It doesn't matter; it'll still live there. It'll find a way to stay there. And this happens a lot, especially when you have low self-esteem. You don't believe in yourself, and so you're with the person who's abusing you, you're with the person who's bad for you, but because you like the person, you're gonna find a way to rationalize being with them. So even though he may be bad with you, or the person he may be mean, you're gonna say, you know what, but he's a good person, but he did this, but he did that. Your brain finds little evidence to say, you know what, maybe it's worth it. To everyone else, you look like a fucking psycho and crazy, but it makes sense to you. That's what happens when your brain backward rationalizes. This also works with attraction, with getting women to become attracted to you. You rather than doing the things that are attractive, just be attractive. Learn to hone in on your vibe, chill out. You see what I'm saying? Be more grounded. Don't say things to get a reaction, but to amuse yourself, right? And when you develop that grounded energy, where you're not reacting to her, a woman's gonna feel your power, not by what you say, but by her attempt to test you. You see, and the way that you react is how she feels, how attractive you are. And so then after she says, you know what, I like him, then she's going to start looking for reasons to like you. But it's not because she likes you because of a specific thing, but because the foundation was laid. The emotions are there, laid, right? The emotions are there, and then she fills in the rest. It doesn't matter what bullshit it is, she's still going to find a way to justify her attraction. That's how it's done. That's why people are attracted to some ugly looking motherfuckers out there. I'm like, how the fuck do you like them? You know? But that's what happens, especially if the person hurts you, because they become a source of self-esteem. Your brain is going to say, you know what, he's important to me. She's important to me. So it doesn't matter if she abuses you or he abuses you. Your brain's going to say, they're important to me because they provide me the validation that I need. Not because they actually give you validation, but because of your lack. That anything is anything. See what I'm saying? So that's the first one. Backward rationalization. The second one is how time speeds up. This is not as much related to relationships, but it's pretty much doesn't make any sense. Like somebody fucked up in this apartment. They had one job, and that's to keep track of time. So when you're a child, when you're 1 year old, right? 1 year is your whole life, right? When you're 2 years old, 1 year is a third of your life, right? When you're 10 years old, 1 year is 1/10 of your life, right? And that's how it's actually going to feel. The older you get, the shorter 1 year becomes. And so maybe for a 50-year-old, 20 years is like 2 years for a person who's like a 5-year-old. You see, because you have so many years that 1 year compared to everything is very little. So that's how you're going to experience it. So you think life is long, but it really isn't. I'm starting to realize that the older you get, the faster time goes, faster and faster. You see, and so that's the problem, that you only live once. And you know the beauty about this, even though it's kind of fucked up, right? I'm gonna give you guys a shining part of about all of this, right? And that's that because time does speed up. That means that you could go for a goal. That means that if a goal takes you 4 years, when you get older, 4 years is gonna run by that quickly. So it's gonna feel like you actually achieved something fast. For example, for me, it took me 2 years to go from nothing to something right now, right? It's something, a little something. I'm proud of it. But it took 2 years. Now, mind you, when you become present to the moment, time doesn't really go fast. Time just is. You see, like you experience time, but I believe I've experienced time a little bit slower, especially when I'm present. But it doesn't matter. The older you get, when you say 5 years, it's going to take me 5 years to be successful. No, it's going to feel like it, but it's going to go faster than that. So that's a redeeming quality. But generally, though, it's not good, because then when you're actually older and when it comes to death, that shit's going to come faster. And you think it's not, but the older you get, the faster it becomes. It's crazy, man. It's one of those things that just doesn't make any sense, right? That's the second thing. Number 3, osmosis. We have a base level of osmosis for all things, and then we don't go any further. Now, for those who don't understand what osmosis is, right? This is what osmosis is. It says a process by which molecules of solvent tend to pass through a semi-permeable membrane from a less concentrated solution into a more concentrated one, thus equalizing the concentration on each side of the membrane. So we have a base level for all things, like a base level. For example, right now I'm at my base level of what I want financially. And because I'm on my base level, I'm not going to try any harder, and that's the issue. You see, your base level is based on your ambition. Your base level is based on what you see yourself achieving. Once you have that base level, you don't go any further. That's why a lot of people don't go further in life, just simply because not because they can't, but because they're not as ambitious enough. They're not as hungry enough. It's that simple. It's not because you're anything special. When you become hungry, your brain is able to access more power, more resources from your brain. The thing is that the brain is made to reserve energy. So as a result, this equilibrium that happens, this peak, this what do you call it in weight training? It's called the some shit, right? It's reached, and so you become complacent and you get very comfortable, and so you're not able to access those ability to actually do greater things, and so that's why you got to keep setting your standards higher. Just go for goals that are extremely difficult to reach. They're not really difficult, but I'm just saying, daring to dream big, because if you don't, then you're going to be satisfied. Now, satisfied is not from the place of peace, presence. No, satisfaction in terms of ambition. It's good, but the problem is that once you achieve your goal, you return to osmosis. It's kind of like I'm lifting weights. Once you start lifting weights and you stop lifting weights, you're going to return to your old body. Same thing with people who work out. They get in shape, and it's time they get fat again. It's because your body has a baseline for almost everything. Your mentality, your weight, your depression, your happiness. We all have a baseline. And so you gotta realize that it doesn't matter how much you work on something. If you stop working on it, if you stop dreaming big, because right now I stopped dreaming big, so now I gotta start fucking dreaming big again. And you guys are gonna tell the difference how I'm gonna start elevating my stuff. But when you stop dreaming big, you're gonna get comfortable and complacent. And life is going to pass you by. You're not even going to notice because of the last principle. The time speeds up when the older you get. Number 3, we trust appearances. The reason why we as humans we trust appearances is not because we are ignorant or stupid, but because we just cannot question everything. You see, we cannot question every little fact that's presented to us. That's impossible. We have to preserve energy. We have to preserve energy for what's important to us. So as a result, we're always going to be deceived. We're easily deceived unless you have a lot of time in your hand. And so they're called conspiracy theorists. But those are people who actually don't trust appearances. They're psychos, but not psychos. I'm not going to say they're psychos. Actually, but they question. And that's something you have to implement in your life, questioning things. You see? And so that's one of the reasons why people easily get deceived, easily become part of the herd. Because they're always trusting appearances. Not everything that shines is gold. Just because a woman is beautiful doesn't mean that she has a substance to back it up. Just because a man looks hot and sexy doesn't mean he's really like that on the inside. He could be boring as fuck. Let me say something. I love my average women. I love my sexy average women. You know, you have like the echelon of hotness, and then where they're just so fucking hot, where it's just impossible. I don't like those. Usually they're so hot that they're consumed by their hotness. You know? I like those who don't think they're that hot. I like those who are unassuming. I like those who, when they walk down the street, you take a look and then you say, oh, but then you're like, oh, wait a minute. I know underneath that, she's fucking hot. It's like finding a lost treasure. You see? And that's the beauty about it. And so in life, you can't really trust appearances. Just because somebody smiles at you, sometimes that smile could be used as a smoke screen to distract you, to lull you, to hypnotize you into doing whatever they want. That's what politicians do. They put on the appearances, they give money to charity, you know, they're good people. But deep down, they're doing crazy shit. You see, and the way you cover it up is through acts of kindness. People, we all have a representative. This is my representative to you. Like who I am right now, this is my representative. I'm actually trying my best to try to show how fucked up I am in the head. But generally speaking, most people try to show the good sides, right? And they're not being hypocrite. That's just human beings. We want to impress people. The problem is that the side that we show people most of the time is not true, even with our friends. And so that's why we can't really trust people 100%. We have to be wary about people because we can't even trust ourselves. So that's one of the big problems with humans, that we always trust appearances, you see. And again, that's good because we have to do it initially as a child. When I was a beautiful child, I wasn't a beautiful child, I was an annoying kid. When I was a kid, I trusted my parents, and I still trust them. But I'm just saying because of that, because when I was a kid, I was trained to believe in people, to trust people. Then it's normal for people to have that tendency. But the problem is that when people just do it too much belligerently, to the point where they ignore the red flags, and that's a tendency that people keep having. You see, people will be talking shit about them in front of them. And they may even sense the vibe, but because they put a smile on their face, they say there's no way that this person gives evil. That's not the case. You see, evil is hidden behind smiles, behind favors, behind free things. You see, behind pretty words, that's where evil lies. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes the most honest, anyways. Number 4, object permanence. That's a big one, object permanence. In life, we believe that everything stays the same. For example, it's kind of like when we came into this world when we were little kids. We saw older people, and when we thought they were always old, right? We thought they were always old. Little do you know that was the oldest. That was the oldest they've ever been. Actually, everyone right now. Look at everyone. That's the oldest they've ever been. They've never been like that. You think they have because they're part of your reality, but in reality, they've never been like that. In reality, they feel like they're getting older, and you don't see that. Things don't last forever. Life doesn't last forever. The world that we live in is not going to last forever. It's impossible to believe that, but that's the truth. The universe is not going to last forever. Actually, it is. It's going to keep expanding to ever nothingness. But when we think about universe, the universe that we think of is our existence per se. Because once we're gone, the universe is not going to exist for us. And reality is objective, relative, based on the observer. So that's going to be 100% truth. The issue is that because of the object permanence, we believe that everything that we experience will last forever. That means when we love someone, we say, they're always going to be there for me. Once again, you're allowing your emotions to dictate your reality. You gotta realize the impermanence of things, the fleeting nature, how things are ephemeral, things don't last. So for me, is realizing that I'm going to get older one day and not holding on to it. For me, is realizing that even though I have good friendships right now, I may not have them tomorrow. For me, is realizing and understanding that today I could easily walk down the street and lose my legs and I have them no more. For me, it's easy that my YouTube channel may be shut down. But when you deny yourself of that reality, of not understanding it, or at least be able to contemplate it without going into a panic, you're always going to be making decisions based on the short term. You're never going to really plan for the future because there's no future for you because you're suppressing it. This object permanence always comes in the form of our state, how we feel. We think we feel angry, so as a result, we're always going to get angry. We're always going to be angry. It's kind of like when people have drug cravings. They don't realize that the drug craving is fleeting. It's going to leave you one day. But because it's so permanent in that moment, we feel like we feel like we have to indulge in whatever we prefer to alleviate it. Because it feels like it's always going to be there. But object permanence dictates that nothing is permanent. Everything is going in and out of existence, in a constant flux of existing and not existing. Reality from the macro perspective of outside, looking at everything from our perspective, looks permanent. But when you go into the micro world, I think so, right? Into the quantum world, things are always going in and out of existence. Things don't make any sense. Things operate under their own rules. If the quantum world looked at if there was a quantum entity and you describe to them how our world works, it's gonna call you crazy. You see. So reality states that what you see is not real. What you see is more of a reflection of your consciousness. You see, the outside world, the permanent things you see are not really there. It's just a reflection of your reality. These are all senses. I'm feeling this. I'm seeing this. All senses created by my brain. Created by my brain. I could die right now. Suddenly it doesn't exist. It goes into so many different realms. Realizing that just because somebody's angry at you doesn't mean that's who they really are. That's object permanence. You're thinking like, oh, he's an asshole. In reality, that's just one part of them. It's kind of like celebrities. Celebrities, when they meet people, they don't realize that when they meet people, that's who they are forever. So if you're an asshole to somebody, the way that it's going to describe you to when they're talking about you is an asshole. Even though you're really not that, but to them, you're an asshole. That's because of object permanence. Our mind has a tendency to believe that everything is how it is and will always be like that. Even though it keeps being proven wrong, it has the emotional desire to think like that. Number three. Number three. I think it's number 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Irrational fears. We have a lot of irrational fears. And one of the fears is fear of death, fearing things that we shouldn't be feared, like procrastination, fearing people. And the reason why I feel like that's a flaw is because it doesn't apply to this world right now. The fear of the dark. Well, actually, you know what? I'm gonna take this back. Because fear makes sense. Fear does make sense. You see, fear does make sense. But what the fear that I'm talking about is a fear of success. When you self-sabotage yourself, you feel like you cannot take it. You feel like you want something, but somehow deep inside of you, something tells you cannot have it because I don't want to have it because I'm fearful. You see, and so it's one of those things. It's a paradox. It's a contradiction where we want something, but at the same time, there's something inside of us that says, I don't want that. And so that's a flaw that humans have because a lot of it's, for example, it's kind of like dating. I know that some women, when they tell me that they want to hang out with me and they don't hang out, sometimes that they're not attractive, but also sometimes they're scared. It's kind of like going to a job interview. A lot of people don't go to job interviews not because they don't want the job, but because they're afraid of the interview. You see, they have this irrational fear. I think Jerry Seinfeld said that, it's a joke. He said that the number one fear is fear of public speaking, and the second one is death, which means that most people will prefer, if they're given an obituary, to be in a casket rather than giving the speech. You see, so it doesn't make any sense, but that's what humans have. Now, to overcome that fear, you literally should just write down what's the worst thing that could happen if I tackle that goal that I want to tackle, and write down exactly the worst thing that could happen. And when you face your fear and you see the irrationality, how silly it is, suddenly the fear dissipates. Now, mind you, I'm going to be making a longer video on this and it's going to be more well thought out. But I'm putting this out there because I don't want to forget it. It's an interesting concept. Number 4, our love of pain comes from our love of pleasure. Our love for pain is irrational and flawed as fuck. Humans think that we think that we want to be happy. In reality, we want pain. Why? Because in order to be happy, you need the contrast of pain. In order to find pleasure, you need the contrast of not having pleasure, of having tension, of having painful tension to get that release. You see, if you're someone who has fun, who loves to have fun, that means you hate to be bored. If you're someone who loves stimulation, that means in order to have stimulation, you need to have the lack of stimulation, which also entails suffering. You love your children, but when you're not away from your children, there's suffering there. Now, the only reason why you love your children is because they help you escape a feeling of not having them. So the only way for you to experience the pleasure is to experience the pain. And so we are willing to experience the pain just for the pleasure. And that's the problem. That we think we want pleasure, but we don't even know and realize that we also want pain because it comes with it. It's a coin that cannot be cut in half. You have to have the front and the back. That's just how it is. And so as humans, we love pain. And so we think we want to finish an argument, but then suddenly when they finish making a point, you want to go back to the argument. Even though it's annoying you, even though you know you cannot convince the person, you still want to argue back because it feels good, but it's stressing you out. It's kind of like when you're arguing with someone, they tell you go upstairs, shut the fuck up. They're going to keep arguing, don't say nothing. You're like, okay. But you go upstairs listening to hear that if this person is going to say one more shit, so you can calm down and tell them your mind. Oh, you want peace, but no. Deep down, you want something to snap off so you could relieve your tension, relieve the pressure, relieve the anxiety you feel, release the tension. And so wanting pleasure will always have a seed of pain in that. And that's what I'm saying is that we love pain and we don't even realize it as humans. That's why we suffer so much. People who want control means that they lack control. You see? So all those things, as humans, we're flawed psychologically. We are flawed. Our brains is not made to make us happy. Our brain is only here to help us survive. And thank goodness we have different tools right now in this world that we live in to make us happy, to help us counteract the natural balance of the brain, which is to help us survive. The brain under its own accord is self-destructive. It takes a lot of self-control and pragmatic thinking in order to tame your brain. Because your brain is crazy as fuck. Right? So that's it. Anyways, it's Alex from rationalization.org. Hope you guys enjoy this. I should be making more dating videos tomorrow. I'm gonna be writing more. I'm gonna be writing by tonight. I'm gonna be writing a few chapters by tonight and letting you guys know. If you guys want one-on-one coaching, let me know. And again, look, I've been getting requests, but I've been backed off. I've been backed up with work. So I know some of you guys have messaged me and I haven't responded. I'm so sorry about that. I really am. I've just been backed up with work and I have some priorities I have to take care of. But for those who are being coached by me, I'm still there. But I'm gonna be taking in the clients by Monday. Hopefully by Monday. But if you haven't, message me. It's because it's first come first serve, and the more subscribers I get, obviously, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult to reach me. And all that sort of stuff. Right. Anyways, it's Alex from rationalization.org. I hope you guys have a good day. Bye bye.
So if you're a guy that's just like me who considers himself a nice guy and you in your whole life you've been getting played by women, this is the course for you. Remember, I was a Bible teacher for most of my life as a teenager. So I was the quintessential nice guy. So this course that I created is specifically made to bring out your assertive nature, because when you're a nice guy, your assertiveness is suppressed. So by watching this course, you're pretty much going to learn not to get played. Now, mind you, you're not going to turn into a white guy into a black guy. You know what I'm saying? That's not going to happen because you see a white guy and then you see a big old black guy named Tyrone. That's not going to happen. What's going to happen is that you're going to learn how to assert yourself in a respectful and healthy way. You're going to learn how to express yourself. You're going to learn how to demand respect from men and women. And what's going to happen at the end of this course is that men will respect you and women will bang you for the most part. Okay, so you're gonna, and the beauty about this is that there's a 30-day money back guarantee. 30 days. So if you don't like it, just message me and I'll give you your 30, and I'll give you all of your money back, and you can keep the course. So what you can learn about the source of human aggression, strategies on self-assertion, how to identify different types of disrespects, right? How to deter aggression, signs of weakness that you might be sending out that's causing people to disrespect you, right? You're going to learn how to attack some people and who not to attack. It's pretty much going to make you more socially intelligent. It's a course for anybody who struggles with assertion, and specifically with people who've been jaded by being played by people, okay? So if you want to purchase this course, go to the description down below and where it says purchase nice guy and do it now. 30-day money back guarantee, no questions asked, and you keep the course. God damn it, okay? Because I am that nice of a guy, ironically, okay? So I'll see you guys inside, and I hope you guys enjoyed this course. I put a lot of my heart in it, and I'll see you guys inside. Purchase it now. Take care. Stay toxic.